one of the largest environmental movements in the world and Europe, the European Mobility Week made hundreds of millions in the EU and hundreds of thousands in Budapest to get out of their car and be active for sustainable mobility. The overture to the 7-day series is a competition in urban transport, in which the members of 3 teams have been given the task to reach their respective destinations by calling at several places in the city, so that it can be figured out whether the fastest way to get around Budapest is by public transport, bike or car. 3, 2, 1, start! The team by community transport, by train within the city, was the quickest to reach the first point. Then they used tram, underground and suburban train for further competition. The car driver competitor, stuck in morning traffic jam, is easily overtaken by a tram. The bikers are coming up. Eventually, the bike riders became the fastest, crossing the finish line head-to-head with the community transport team. But everyone has won, because public transport and the alternative, natural gas-powered car, are each other's sustainable alternative in urban transport. At the car-free weekend, more and more people are walking each year along Budapest's beautiful Andrássy Avenue, built in the 19th century and made car-free on this occasion. This year, along with making the avenue into an esplanade, the Bridge of Sciences event was organized on the Chain Bridge, and the time of the esplanade also coincided with the National Gallop held at Hero Square. Thus, Andrássy Avenue and the Hero Square area developed into a large pedestrian promenade never seen before. The car-free Andrássy Esplanade created a venue for the country's largest theatre festival, the TeARTrum, where 50 permanent and alternative theatres, independent playgroups, performed on 2 stages, or in the street, appearing in certain shop windows. At stands, specially built on the spot, visitors could purchase their theatre tickets, get to know the theatre companies and their members, as well as enjoy a variety of programs. The Danube Promenade, named as the main river street of Budapest, the grass carpet of the mini Margaret Island was popular. The ship stage set up there was made of a new Hungarian invention, self-biodegradable PLA bottles. So this way, we could sail towards a more sustainable future.
Figyelj, megbolondítjuk egyet-kettő, egy, és jön a kettő.
1, 2, and the chorus. The popular domestic tourist exhibition High Season also moved to the car-free weekend. With this initiative, Andrássy Avenue has become the nation's main street. At the exhibition, several villages moved to the heart of the city. 60 interesting places were introduced, bringing the best of domestic destinations to the heart of the capital. In their pavilions, adventure seekers were provided things to see, eat and drink. Passers-by could see folk dance performances on stage, and they could even participate in a dance house in the street. The youngest could make friends with sustainability at the pavilions of the Ministry of National Development and the Green Technology exhibition. the esplanade of public utility companies, where the capital city's new operating model was introduced, public utility companies belonging to 2 branches. The Center for Budapest Transport, that is BKK, Pavilion, was the venue of an event pointing into the future. The strengthening of public transportation is one of the main ideas of the European Mobility Week. The EU grant contract for developing the tram lines 1 and 3 was signed by Dr. Pál Völner, State Secretary at the Ministry of National Development, and Dávid Vitézi, the CEO of BKK. New tracks are built and a line capable of a speed of 60 km per hour instead of the current 10 or 20 is developed, and we hope that the trams can actually travel at that speed. As many bikes as possible, and for all ages. Fashion show with bicycle, and not only for the young. Those riding diligently win water. Or generate electricity that can even be used for powering cars. Although the weekend was announced as car-free, still there were cars on the Andrássy promenade. At the Energia 2.0 race, alternative powered vehicles built with the latest technology were introduced, and they even competed. The health of those walking along the promenade was not affected by these cars because the hazardous substance emission of electricity, compressed air or solar-powered models can even be zero. And next to futurism, there was realism. Hybrid cars could be tested. More and more of them are running on the roads in Budapest. The benefit of the 2-day deprivation from cars was not only the active rest and fun by about 450,000 visitors, but a dramatic, about 50% reduction in air pollution as well. Budapest residents were walking until late at night, enjoying the programs, before the cars were back on Andrássy Promenade, the rising historical walkway of the capital. This year there was a new element in the constantly evolving series of programs of the European Mobility Week. A campaign was launched to substitute surface parking. Parking on the road is not only expensive but also significantly reduces mobility in the city, since, in fact, parking cars occupy space used for traffic. Civilian activists occupied parking places and proposed motorists to use the nearby deep garage. Civilian activists occupied parking places and proposed motorists to use the nearby deep garage. Disused cellars under residential houses were converted into deep garages by private parking companies. Several underground parking facilities offered their services at half price. Be eco-smart in your travel, alternative mobility. The motto of this year's European Mobility Week was elaborated on by speakers at the traditionally held conference. At the symposium, the new operating model of the capital city and the current developments were discussed. I believe we have been thinking in a common system for a long time. Then we saw that the traffic problems were of such weight and they should be considered so important urban policy issues that they definitely had to be treated separately. Today, the BKK, the Center for Budapest Transport, is responsible for the direct managing of all transport improvement projects in Budapest and the indirect management of the 4th subway line. The transport projects from the bicycle path to the intertwined tram network on the Buda side and from the project involving tram lines 1 and 3 to the long-term developments or the Margaret Bridge project are now concentrated at BKK. The conference took place at the Budapest University of Technology and Economics so that the experts of the future may also take part. On the day of pedestrian streets, programs called the most attention among the public areas turned into new pedestrian zones in the capital this year to Lövőház Street in District 2. The aim of this day was for city dwellers to rediscover the experience of walking. Experience shows that community and cultural spaces formed in pedestrian streets close to car traffic, while inhabitants living nearby use their usual environment in its new functions. We have created a new community area which has now been taken over by prams and bikes from the old one with traffic jams and cars parking or honking from morning till night. The other occupants are cafes where people are sitting out and the community sites that reinforce the direction that we have planned together in Budapest, something we have been talking about for years and that now we want to achieve. Ideas that point towards an environmentally friendly, sustainable city are starting to come together. And instead of the battles that are about pedestrians and car drivers fighting one another, people are starting to accept the approach, an idea already adopted by city planner professionals, that creates a balance between the different modes of transport and the different uses of urban surfaces. The revival of Budapest city centre, and here I also mean Lövőház Street, is on the way. If you look around, you can see that the Károly Boulevard and the area of the March 15th Square have been rebuilt, while the redevelopment of Széchenyi Square is on the way. Many such sites could be mentioned where the renewal of urban functions has begun, and a better, more livable residential environment provides higher quality of life.
If I can carry you, babe, gonna carry someone else.
The European Mobility Week was this year again closed by the European Car-Free Day. In Alkotmány Street, close to car traffic, everything was about bikes, traffic school course, counseling, bike repair service. Experts at the Eurovelo conference discussed the development of the bicycle path network in Hungary. BUBI, the public bike network to be completed in the near future, was introduced to the public. The city's leadership, despite the very difficult budgetary situation, spent some 2 billion forints, also using EU funds, this year and next year together, on the development of bicycling in the city of Budapest. The Hungarian capital has never spent such an amount of resources. The maximum was a few tens of millions of forints. The Budapest bike is much more than a community bike system of 1,000 bicycles. We think this is a new feeling, a new traffic and transport philosophy, and a great initiative. We sincerely hope more people will use it, Budapest residents and tourists alike. It is such examples that resolve problems arising from urban congestion, from traffic jams, environmental pollution, air pollution.
Budapesten az elmúlt 20 évben folyamatos.
The number of bicycle riders in Budapest has grown steadily and dramatically over the past 20 years. People tend to choose the bike because of the congestion, the cost of motoring. The city must create infrastructure for this. The contract to support BUBI was signed by Dr. Pál Völner, Secretary of State for National Development, Deputy Mayor István György, and the CEO of the Center for Budapest Transport, Dávid Vitézi. The Mobility Week summarizes in 7 days what we think of transportation in the city and why we fight, and also that our transport system can be adapted to protect the environment and form a sustainable system for everyone. This contrasts with the car-centered thinking. It is important that this attitude sinks in through the European Mobility Week. This year, the city administration and the BKK did not want the car-free day, the Mobility Week, only to be a symbolic event, but one where decisions are made to change people's transportation attitude at a longer term, for 365 days. That is why we scheduled for this week the EU grant contract signing of the development of tram lines 1 and 3 with the Ministry of National Development. In addition, the launch of the BUBI also takes place in the framework of the European Mobility Week. These projects symbolize together Budapest's environmentally friendly transport portfolio, the public transport and bicycling that everyone can use, even one after the other, and that we continuously develop. The car-free day was ended by many thousands of protesting bikers of the critical mass. "7 days for sustainable mobility, 7 days for a healthier, experience-rich environment, 7 days for the city in which we wish to live." The success story of the past 10 years of the European Mobility Week continued in Budapest in 2011 as well.